Welcome, everybody. I'm Sanjay Vankudre. Welcome to this event by PanIIT USA Book Club. This is the first event of the year. We are about to walk through a story that begins with a man receiving life changing health news in his 30s uh, and ends with him running a marathon, inspiring a movie, and getting his job back. Yes, I'm talking about Arjun Sen, a legend among the IITians. Whether you have read his book or not, you all find pieces of yourself in this conversation. Before getting started, I would like to welcome Mr. Amit Arora, Vice President of PanIIT, to share his thoughts and few words about PanIIT community activities. Amit?
Uh, Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you so much. Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Welcome. Welcome, and thank you for joining this book club webinar today on this delightful Sunday afternoon. This is Amit Arora, Vice President, PanIIT USA, joining from Atlanta. Started in early 2000s, PanIIT USA represents all 23 IIT campuses alumni in the US. PanIIT USA's objective and goals are to provide social, cultural, and educational platform for our alums and also to reach out to the larger community. To that end, we foster and support 20 odd PanIIT USA chapters in the US. We provide alumni services such as Bridge Club, Book Club, scholarship, mentoring, and our mega event, the conferences, which happens every 2 years to all our alums. Thirdly, we reach out to larger US audience. To that account, we have webinars such as this one and things like interactive workshops, etc. We are also very focused on enhancing the PanIIT USA brand in the US. With that, I welcome you all once again and I hope you enjoy our wonderful webinar. Thank you, and over to you, Sanjay.
Thanks, Amit. Thanks for the information. So I'm Sanjay Vankudre, a brief introduction about myself and the rest of the panel here. Before we get into the discussion, I'm a graduate of IIT Kharagpur, and then I did my master's also in USA from Oregon Health and Science University. My background in software technology, I wore different hats over a period of 30 years. I did engineering as well as entrepreneurship and ended up also investing in some companies. I have been also active with a group called Lemonade, which is an invite-only executive group, and I'm leading the AI education and adapting, leveraging of AI in businesses segment of the group. I have been active in PanIIT. I was a president of PanIIT Oregon chapter for a year, and I help with different PanIIT activities and events whenever I can. I have been a book club members for a couple of years and book club lead here. I stay in Portland, Oregon, with my family. I would also like to introduce Sonali Raje, who is with me here, who is joining today, and she's a professor of chemistry at Towson University. She's an alumnus of IIT Bombay, and she's a Fulbright scholar. She has also authored, and actually, she has also been our guest in the past. She has authored a series of books on feminine angle of the Mahabharata story, Mahabharata epic. That is angle from the Draupadi's point of view. In a five-book series, she has already written three and published. They're also getting translated into various Indian languages. I believe a Marathi translation is already out. Um, she has planned this book such that each book carries a theme which addresses one particular theme of the societal relevance, especially female-related issues and other issues. Uh, she's a self-professed chocoholic and a foodie based out of Maryland, and she lives there with her husband and two children. So, welcome, Sonali. And now, moving on to our main chief guest here, Arjun Sen. which already I think a lot of you have heard about, and he's in the news because of his book Unquit Forever. And I think this book is getting reviews because it's also being uh, converted into a movie. I mean, it is a movie called I Want to Talk. So this book is about everyone's story of not giving up. His life's journey inspired the global movie I Want to Talk, now playing on Amazon Prime. And Amitabh Bachchan called him a Yoda. Before this, Arjun had a career in marketing. He was a VP of marketing and operations at Papa John's, where his team built their online business, now worth $1 billion a year in revenue. And this is an online business. Um, he's a brand Zen, uh, and he helps with his own company, which he started businesses to brand themselves to win big. So he has a unique philosophy of how to brand to win big. Blaine Hurst, a former president and CEO of Panera Bread, called him one of the most business intelligent minds in the business today. Um, with that, I would say that he's also graduate of IIT Kharagpur like me. He got a BTech in aeronautical engineering from there, and then he was also vice president of Gymkhana during his final year. In USA, he received his MBA from Brigham Young University, and he was also past president of PanIIT USA, where he realigned 50,000 alumni organization to a common vision and evolved in global positioning. So the name of the book is Unquit Forever. Keep yourself in the game, and we're gonna discuss with him and learn from him about his life's journey. So, Arjun, welcome again to the event. Thanks for joining. Just to warm up, I want to get started with a simple question: is that you have worn different hats. Like I said, you got an engineering degree, and then you went into marketing. You're also CEO of your own company, so that means you're an entrepreneur, and of course, you're an acclaimed author now. A book has you have written multiple books. So, at this point, when somebody asks you a question, what you do, what's your answer today?
First of all, thank all of you for taking the time and
Yeah,
really appreciate this. It's truly an honor. And a special shout out to Swatiji for putting everything together because without your help every day, we just cannot accomplish what we perform. So, answering your question, I think the first thing I answer is I'm a father first. And that to me is at the core because what I learned in the corporate world was I was really bad at balancing. And when I was bad at balancing, I was literally all of us have the same 24 hours in a day. I was stealing time from my daughter and also my future. Like I was not looking at future health and investing in today. So I really think that, at the end, when I realized if I could do one thing right, I want to be present. And parenting is never about a report card because there's no user manual, nothing like that. All you can do is be present, be the best you can be. And that I think is the way I love to define myself.
thanks, Arun. I think that's definitely what we observed in your underlying in your story there. So early in the book, you detail the moment when you received diagnosis, a time filled with fear. Of course, when you first time hear something like that, also there was a flicker of resolve. So looking back, when do you think the fight really started? The moment you decided you wouldn't give up.
Yeah, I want to break it into two moments. One is, coming to US, each one of us came with no resources. And that's the part where if you look back at your life, you have built on your own. And I was on the same path. But as I was going through, I never thought that I could fall and I could fall all the way, like in shoots and ladders, snakes and ladder, all the way to zero. And I had no plan. And that's the part where when doctors told me I had less than 100 days to live, I literally came back home and turned all the lights. The only light I saw for 2 days was when I would open the refrigerator for some leftover pizzas. And I was not used to life not being in control. But things changed when my 3-year-old came in and asked me 3 questions. And they were not easy questions. Like even my grand viva at IIT Kharagpur, those were not, I never faced questions this tough. First question is, what is dying? How do you explain dying to a 3-year-old? Second is a straightforward question, are you dying? And I lied. And I told her no. Because I couldn't tell my daughter. But that set up for the third and the most important question, which was that if you die, who will dance at my wedding? And that really hit me. Like, being in this country, what I realized that the two most sacred moments in any wedding is a father-daughter and a mother-son dance. Like, those are absolutely the cutest thing the kids look up to. And I really realized that, here I am in self-pity, not doing anything, just giving up. And this little kid is looking up to one thing, who will dance at my wedding if dad's not there? And that was the whole moment, was at least I need to make my best effort. And that was the pivot all through. And locking into one clear goal that I can see and my heart also is aligned to is mission critical.
Thanks, Arjun. That's really great. I think at the same time, you kind of scribbled, I remember reading that you scribbled a contract with your doctor. The moment with the contract, it almost reads like something out of a movie. And it came out of you like it came from a real place, that you just wrote that contract. You're on the spot there. What did this action represent to you? Is it like human survival instincts, or it was like a defiance? Like, you're saying that, giving me a diagnosis, but this is where what I'm saying. Like, how did that moment pass through your mind? Or but you can talk about it.
So I think that again is something I want to take us back to our IIT days. Okay. In IIT, one of the big things I learned is how to be, and I'm just quoting Arjun Malhotra, how to work with people smarter than you without losing yourself. That without losing yourself is very, very important. And as my doctors, just imagine I am in the hospital wearing that gown with the back is open, so I'm decently vulnerable. On the other side, 3 doctors, 5, like this, nurses walk in. It's a total unfair situation. And when they put me in that situation of less than 100 days, I wanted to get some control in that conversation. So I finally put a contract, handwritten contract, by saying, I will do what you tell me to do. If you can guarantee that I will live more than 100 years. Of course, they couldn't. And I really feel that at any point, when you feel you have nothing to do, and that's when we give up, there's always something you can do. And that is the moment, is even if that was goofy today, like I really feel it was disrespectful. I really wish I could go and say sorry. But at the same time, a little side of me is proud of that Arjun, little naughty, little evil, who pushed hard. And I'm really glad I stood up for myself that day.
Yeah, thanks. That's correct. I think your book is a treasure trove of all this wisdom which you have shared with the readers while sharing your story, and that's a great read. So, but this trauma sharing, like you wrote the book, your sharing trauma is never easy, especially when it is deeply personal, and writing must have taken its own toll. So, what was the hardest chapter you think to write, yeah, and not just out of memory, but emotionally, and why would you say that chapter?
So every chapter was somewhat difficult, but there was also a lot of rewards. The difficulty was going back and feeling what I felt, but the rewards were about thinking who all were in my life and appreciating. And that was very, very important. Like, I just could not believe how many people, many a time strangers, showed up just because to help me. But the chapter that was the toughest, and again, if you have not seen the movie or the book, spoiler alert, is March 4th, when I talked about. Okay. Everything started going wrong, in the wrong direction in life, to the point where I'd already maxed out in loans, diagnosis is not going well, marriage is gone, lost my job, and I gave up in life. Okay. Gave up means done. March 4th was the day I had marked on my calendar to quit and end my life. Okay. Fortunately, that day, people didn't give up on me. But when I came to writing that page, that chapter, everything was going smooth. I could not get into that chapter. Like, I would sit, cry. I just could not. And finally, one day, there's a huge blessing in my life is Kirtana. Kirtana is the daughter of an IIT friend of mine. She works with me, very fortunate. I talked to Kirtana, and Kirtana says, Arjun, why don't you and me go on a Zoom call and just talk through it? And then Kirtana penned that page chapter for me, and then I proofed it. But she helped me get through. But that was a very, very tough moment to go through. But again, once I was on the other side, the big aha for me was, with our limited tunnel vision, there are days we give up, but people around us do not give up on ourselves. And that is the core strength that we should rely on.
Thank you. And I think you call these people Sherpas in your book. And I think that's quite appropriate because, Sherpas are the people who really can help the mountaineers get where they want to. And so one of the moving parts of the book, so talking about Sherpas, right? Your friendship with Johnny, right? And he has a quiet and steady presence. And of course, he has difficulty communicating in language, English and all that, but he's there in your life during your recovery. What did Johnny's presence teach you about humility and especially unexpected kindness coming from people?
Yeah, that's an amazing question because we see in people what we want to see. Okay. And, like for example, when each one of you I'm getting to meet, with Sonali, first I knew about she being an IITian. Then I learned about her faculty. Now I'm learning about that cool mom. Like there are so many dimensions of a human being, and we all look at everybody as a univariate one thing. With Johnny, I looked at him to be a handyman who was decently goofy in what he did. Like there's a fan that fell, everything else. But what I realized was he is a person who I can trust. And trust to me is unconditional. Like think, I gave him access to his home 24/7. He could come in. And this was used to be one of the most happy moments for my life is I'm back from a surgery. He would bring me back. He had a very colorful life, not going into that. 1:30 to 3 a.m. when his evening would finish, he would come to the garage, welcome himself, go to the fridge, get a leftover, and come sit next to my bed. His only reason for being there was to make sure his Mr. Arjun is alive. And the moment I would open my eyes, he would tell me in broken English, Mr. Arjun, you're not dead, which meant, translate, Mr. Arjun, I'm so glad you're alive. And the best and the biggest gift we give each other is our time. Like later on, I one day did the math. How many hours he spent on me. This is a person who makes hourly wages. So think, him without thinking, taking all the time and giving to Arjun is a blessing. And initially I saw him as a handyman. And then from there, he became an amazing friend. And then he became an amazing philosopher. And I want to add one more thing was, one time I was arguing with him that a fan fell, he nearly killed me. And he told me this amazing wisdom, Mr. Arjun, there's nothing called nearly killed. If I wanted to kill you, I would have killed you. I didn't. So either you're alive or you're dead. Amazing wisdom. We are never nearly dead. Till we are dead, we are alive, and let's make the best of life.
Yeah, Arjun, I think credit to you also in identifying and realizing, these qualities in people. And I think that is also something great you possess. And talking about the movie and books, coming to that, what are the most like heartwarming reactions you have received on the book and on the movie from the audience and people who have, people you know?
So with the movie and the book, the best fun part and the celebration has been, this has become people's movie, people's book. Like the moment the movie came out, and the movie initially didn't do that well in the box office, it has done great at Amazon Prime. One of the first individuals I talked to, again, happened to be an IITian, an architect. He reached out to me. I talked to him, his wife. They both loved the movie. But then the coolest part that evening was I got a chance to talk to his mom, a 76-year-old woman, who came out of watching the movie and felt the following. One, she had given up in life. She was talking to God regularly by saying, God, take me. And she comes back and says, God, cancel that request. She felt, quoting her, 10 years younger. Subsequent conversations, she has chosen to walk and plan to run a 5-kilometer race. And now in her building, she has a walking club of 10 to 12 people. And that has been the power of the movie that is there, is the feedback when I hear amazing things Shujit did. I was just living my life. Shujit went and told the story. Is when people are taking this into their life and working on it and making their life better. That to me is so amazingly fulfilling. And that really helps me appreciate the whole momentum that was built from Nurse Nancy to Johnny. You talked about my daughter, my grandma, every person in my life. And the momentum is transferring and passing on.
Thank you. So you have touched so many lives already, Arjun, through your book and your journey. So what legacy would you want this story to leave 10 years from now, or even in the future after that?
Oh, it's a very simple thing. I want to dance at my daughter's wedding. That's it. Like, let's keep life very simple. Everything else is good. It started with that mission. She's 31. She's a professor at Arizona State University.
Awesome.
And the goofy, amazing kiddo has no plans of getting married. So I'm just doing my share. She needs to do her share. And I'm ready to do push the wall, change the light bulb. Those are two moves I know. I'm ready to pull that off.
Yeah, that will be great. Good luck to her. Sonali, I think, would ask some of her questions now. Sonali, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Arjun ji, for being here. And to all the listeners who are here, thank you very much for sharing your time with us. So, Arjun ji, I have the first question that came to my mind after I read the title of your book is there are times in life when quitting is not only necessary, but it's actually healthy. Okay. Now, seeing as the title of your book is Unquitting Forever, what are your views on that statement? Like, it's sometimes healthy to quit. What would you say?
It's totally, as long as you're quitting to keep yourself in the game for the bigger purpose. Because many a time when we get on a journey, we really do not know the entire path. In my case, my goal was be there to dance at my daughter's wedding. There are times we have been on path, we realize that path is not going to go anywhere else. So I stopped on that path, but I did not quit on myself. I used the learning to find a better path to move forward. So the journey goes on. But even when you quit, you're in control. And that's the part where unquit forever is a mindset.
Okay, that's a really interesting insight. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you.
So I'm trying not to use quotes from your book because I don't want to give out spoilers to the readers who I really want them to like pick it up. So I'm just going to kind of paraphrase the first quote in your book. And when I read that, I was like, no, wait a minute. And it essentially says head versus heart, like follow your heart. That's what you have kind of said. And in my book, I have spent an entire chapter where Krishna and Draupadi are having this conversation about the merits and demerits of both these, of either using your head or heart. So in your opinion, is this an absolute approach? Like, would you always follow your heart?
You need both. But this is what I always want to look at is many a time in life, because we are not gods or mini gods, we have tiny vision, brains. We move forward and we realize this is not optimum. Life could have been better, should have been better. That day, I really want my heart to not feel ignored. I really want my heart to be with me because that is the part where I really feel, even if I have to make a mistake, I want to make the mistake with my heart. The mind is always there. Everybody else is there. I want wisdom. But to me, having the heart with me is very important in the journey. Because in the business world, to me, it is slightly different. In the business world, the goal is many a time comes on consensus. The goal is let's both, three of us plan to take our business to 18%, then we say 15%, which is the best path. But in life, when you get to a point of total darkness, and from there you're going to only one light, dance at my daughter's wedding. I really felt that that is, to me personally, the more Josh kind of a thing, a heart move. Because if I used my mind, there was no way any part of my mind would allow me, who had only run 10.7 miles with all my ailments, to run a 26.2-mile marathon. Okay. The only person in my own team, other than my daughter, who was on that was my heart. And 99 out of 100 days, the body wouldn't have made it. But that day, the heart got me across the finish line.
Wow, that's really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So a reader had once asked me for my book, like, what would I change about Draupadi's life if I could? That question, I had never been asked that question before, and that gave me pause. So because that question was so important to me, I want to ask you the same thing. What would you change, either about your life or what you've portrayed in your book, if you could?
I think the life part is easy. There are two things, both are connected. Is pause more in the present to get to know people instead of being more transactional. Okay. During the journey, I have lost quite a few people who were very close to me. And I love them. They were very close to my heart. But in their memorial and funeral, I got to know so much more about them. Okay. And I just wanted to smack myself on the back of the head by saying, wow, God put these people in my life. It's like I could not appreciate the entire gift if only I paused a little more. And that's one of the same things, is going back to Sanjay's question about his journey all through, is there are these amazing people in our life. Our life becomes so much more precious if we can pause, appreciate a little more. And that is one of the big things I want to go back to, if I could, or live more from today forward, is be in the present of every person, every interaction. And pause means pause, 100% present as we go forward.
Okay. So I read a similar book. It's not similar in the sense that it's, so the way when I say it's similar, it's about a person who went through this life-changing illness. It's When Breath Becomes Air. And the doctor has chronicled his battle with his cancer struggles. So in that book, he knew exactly what to expect and where to go. In fact, he was a patient where he was working. So he knew like what resources he could get to. You didn't have that access. So could you talk a little bit about the struggles you experienced, and could you comment briefly on how you navigated the challenges?
What I learned was, in the world of doctors, every time I would walk in, my doctor picks up my folder just outside the door, walks in, looks at me and says, Arjun Sen. And I wanted to say, no, Arjun. And then I realized, in the world of marketing, when I go to a grocery store, a tomato is a tomato, a generic tomato. No tomatoes have names. Like, every tomato is exactly the same. An aloo is an aloo. I felt I was exactly the same thing in a doctor's world. Not being disrespectful, they have a lot to go on with insurance and everything else. I felt there are two things I must do to, one, breakthrough and celebrate. So I realized I wanted to brand myself. Anytime a doctor would ask me, I would tell them, my name is Arjun Sen, just like the 6th month of the year, June, put an R before. Sen, sanity. I was married to a shrink, survived the marriage, and the head twitch is nearly gone. My doctors would never forget. My doctor would come back next time and says, Arjun. And some of my doctors would even tell me, do the head twitch, you do it so cute. And I would just act like I'm a 5-year-old. Parents are saying, do that song in front. I would do that just to break through. And the second thing, what I realized was connected to this is not funny, but the level of humor in the medical field is so low, because a doctor or a nurse's life has nothing good news coming there. We all patients come there with real negative or false negatives. So in that particular world, anything else that gets through, and this is one of the things I have started since, is I go to my doctor's office unannounced. I go to random doctor's place unannounced. I go with some flowers, some chocolates, some cookies, just to say thank you. And it makes a big deal. Like they think I'm crazy, but it's a good crazy. And I really feel that's one of the things I've realized is for them to be there for me. We all need to take time to help those who help us because they need more than us.
Sure. So in your journey, did you ever become spiritual?
Yes. And to me, I just look at, I'm really glad you didn't say religious, because to me, religious
Right.
and spiritual is very different to me. Spirituality to me was very, very important to appreciate the balance of how fortunate I am, that all these are blessings coming my way. I need to appreciate. But also, over the years, there was this big wisdom I got from one of my Sherpas was, as you appreciate, also give yourself credit that you're worthy. Because you're worthy, that's the reason these blessings are coming to you. And that's how far I have got. And every day, the journey is, there's no plan, all about get through the day. And that's the big thing I have found is the disconnect between the business world where there's a short-term, long-term plan. When you fight personal battles, many a time it is, let's go through today, we'll figure out tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. And that's the way life is.
Sure. So based on your experience, would it be possible to curate a list of all this, I won't necessarily say doctors, but a list of maybe the rehabilitation centers or support groups or resources that you were able to accumulate over your journey so that people can have, if anybody needs it, heaven forbid, if anybody needs it, they should have a go-to list where they can quickly, have access to anything that they might need.
Yeah. So I really think initially I was planning to build that. But then I realized each person's journey is very different. Okay. If I build something with my zero knowledge in this field, I could do more disservice. So here's my three pieces of advice to every person is go back to your high school days and find those amazing friends of yours who are in medical school. I have 5 friends who are my medical board of advisors. 2 are from AIMS, 2 from JIPMER, and me being a Kolkata boy has to be 1 from Kolkata. So these are my 5 friends. I get their point of view. But at the end of the day, I am the CEO of this company.
Okay.
I take their opinions, but at the end, I really walk into doctors prepared. That is huge. Second, I'll make it very personal for you. Hopefully this happens to you guys when you're 95, but one day you and your husband, one of you have to take the other person to hospital. And that day, how fast you get information through defines success. Okay. What happens, I've seen even for the most amazing people is once we go in front of doctors, we get hypnotized like a deer in front of a headlight.
Mm-hmm.
You start at a Montessori level. Like that day, very simple things is, in my case, if I have all my EKGs on a PowerPoint, if I have every data of my blood cholesterol on a spreadsheet, it accelerates the access that you can have that you need at that point of time. And those are very, very important things as you can start going through. And in a way, I have also started realizing that just being a CEO of your own life, you must participate in the decision too. Like with my doctors, I would just ask them very simple question. Like one time they wanted to do this proton radiation. I was prepared. I said, I know in the US, you do it 5 days a week. In Europe, they do 3 days a week. In US, you make more money. And Europe, average life of patients is 22% more. And here's the paper. And I really feel that, and you have to do that in a soft way, not to brush anybody's egos, because that's not fair. And that is how far I have gone. But at some point of time, can do more. And the challenge for me is going back and going into, and you can feel that I'm decently uncomfortable answering this question, is because reliving the past and knowing into days where literally I was throwing Hail Marys to get through is not easy.
Sure. So, following up on what you just said, there is this scene in the movie which, I mean, it's a extremely serious movie, but there was this one scene. I think it was just the way it was played out that I thought it was quite hilarious in some ways and very well done. Do you actually still do your due diligence when you go to your doctor's office? And by that I mean, there's the scene where the nurse tells you that you need 2 stitches, and you say to her, "No, I need 3." And then you have this back and forth with her. At one point, I thought Abhishek Bachchan was actually going to ask her, "I want to see your degree certificate, lady." But do you still do that? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so let's still go into this exactly happened. Okay. I had surgery, 3 incisions, and the 3 incisions are very important because I had 3 cysts. And my amazing daughter, who was 8, day before the surgery, had told me, "Dad, these are my brothers. Let's name them." And she named them Pete, Peter, and Repeater. So we had this conversation. So I know 3. It was locked in my mind. Nurse comes in, she removes 2, and she's leaving. And I'm cheap. Like, if I'm there with the copay, I pay, I need my 3. And as she left, I went and saw it was some other person's chart that was there. Mm-hmm. And, initially I was upset. But what I realized is, before I get upset with a nurse or a doctor, in my profession, have I not made mistakes? I do. Only difference is when I make mistakes, people don't die or leave with an extra unopened, stitch. So I really think that putting that into perspective is very important, that you just need to take it with a, pinch of salt. You just have to take it, pause for it. But being prepared is very, very important. And, human doesn't always work. Like when doctor before a surgery would ask me my name, I'm like, come on, it's on my wristband. You can just do a scan. Why do you have to ask me? So I would look at and say, Arjun Sen, date of birth, is it 6 or a 9? They don't think it's funny, but to me, I think it's funny. And I play to an audience of 1, that is me, because even if it's a serious moment, I won't let life be too serious at that point.
Interesting. So as we are moving towards the close of our time here, I just wanted to throw out a question to the audience who's listening. Just something to ponder over, just like a take-home message. If you had 100 days to live, what would be the one thing or 2 or more things that you might want to do? And what's stopping you from doing that now? Based on what we have heard in this conversation, just take a moment to think about your own life, where you are, where you would really like to be, and what steps you might take if you want to go in that direction. So, Arjunji, what I would request you to do now is just give us a succinct take-home message that all of us can carry back with us.
Yeah. The message is very straightforward. Every day, if you have a mind and a heart that is above everything, that doesn't give up, rest follows. So you really have to want a very clear goals. My 3 requests to you are: 1 is a clear goal that you want to be. It's not like I will eat vegetables going to the gym. No, it's something you want to be, something you want to get there. That has to be locked. Like, even if you wake me up in the middle of the night and ask me the question, the answer is always the same: want to dance at my daughter's wedding. Second, that goal is it when you have 100% intent. So clear goal, 100% intent, and then put 100% effort. And that's the part where you talking about Krishna, Bhagavad Gita is very important because that's all we can do. That's the spirituality is. I'm blessed with everybody's being present in my life. I'm here to talk to you all today. But me putting that effort is very important.
Thanks, Arjun. I think we'll take some questions. Thanks, Sonali. We'll take some questions now from the attendees, audience. So, Swati, can we shift over to the other mode?
We are good.
Thank you. I think I see a raised hand. I think Manish Salan has a question. I have a list of questions here coming through. But Monishi, you have a question you want to ask? I think I'll start with you. Okay, I don't know whether I'm getting through or not, but I think I'll ask a question from Rajesh Radhakrishnan, IIT Bombay. Arjun, the question is, Arjun, how did you achieve the goal of being present? You mentioned that you learned that being present was most important and only thing to do in parenting. And parenting was the function you wanted to put yourself back in a process or reaction or process or reclaim if you could.
The concept of be present, I learned from one of the top golfers. When I asked him one time, what's the difference from the day when everything is going right to things that are not right? He said, when I know at any point of time, when I do one thing and do only that. And he gave me an example. When he chews gum, he only chews the gum. When he has a sandwich made by his daughter, he can feel his daughter pulling his hair as she was making the sandwich. And that's one of the things I realized, that for me, it was being present in my daughter's life. But anything we do, being present means at that point, we take the phone and turning it off totally, because that is the way we show respect to the person in front, to myself, but more importantly, selfishly, I'm maximizing highest utility from that moment that we have.
Thank you.
There's one more question from Madhvi.
Yeah,
There's one more question in the Q&A from Madhvi. And she asks, how was it to put the movie together? Like, she's curious about the process. So could you just walk us through that?
First of all, there was no plan. I just met Shujit Sarkar. He came to my podcast and then we became friends. And he pushed me hard that there were two parts of my life we never got in, was the cancer and then my divorce. And as we became friends and COVID came in, we literally had talked based on Zoom calls nearly 200 hours. And he saw the movie. I didn't, to the point where when I pushed him hard, he said the movie is literally one story to use that to help people get to a never give up moment in their life. And seeing the whole movie, play in front, like I had a role in the script, I had a role in the dialogue. There were two things that hit me, especially during this whole journey. One, in the movie world, everybody who was at the movie was relieved to see the real Arjun alive. They knew how this movie is ending. This is not ending like Anand. Like, that really gave them a different courage that was there. And the second thing I wish I had, that the movie had, is this concept of take. Think how easy it would be in life with my daughter. I'm having a conversation. I said, okay, sorry, take two, let's start again. No, it doesn't work that way. And that was the fascinating thing. But at the end, the big aha about the movie was seeing Johnny, seeing Nancy, seeing, my daughter is actually, her name is Raka. In the movie, it's changed to Rhea. Seeing from outside, it made me appreciate how darn lucky I am to have every one of these people in my life every day. And they are there only for me. There's not transactional, nothing like that. And that, I think I'm so fortunate to see life enacted in front of me through the movie and the book.
Sure.
Thank you. I have a question. I have two more questions. I think I can take one. And Sonali can take other one. The Saswati Datta has asked a question. How has your daughter reacted to your efforts to live to be able to dance at her wedding? Has her attitude towards you changed as you can see it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it has evolved. Now we are best friends. Of course, she's the supervisor and she controls not only my locations to everything else. And that level of monitoring is amazing. But I really feel it has now given us more confidence to push each other, to have conflict. And she is the wiser among both of us. Like wisdom 90 is from her. Like some time back, she even told me, Dad, just remember, at the end of the day, my love for you will never change. I will always be there for you. And that allows us to have more pushback and everything else. And I couldn't have gone there without her. And just to give you a little trivia, the book, when I first wrote, the first book was called Raising a Father. It was initially called Raising a Daughter. And after I finished the book, I got a smirk on my face by saying, let's at least be truthful who raised who. It's the daughter who raised the father. The father does not raise a daughter because I evolved because of her. And that's the reason I changed the name of the book, initial book, to Raising a Father.
Okay, so the next question in the Q&A is, do you have a practice of gratitude? And this is from Rajesh Radhakrishnan. He asks, do you have a practice of gratitude and did you have to train yourself? Because there are lines early on in the movie which indicate that the pre-cancer Arjun was not particularly mindful or respectful. There's a reference to lines like marketing is bullish. No, it's not. Well, it's not bullish. I see what it is now, but yeah, marketing is XYZ. You think clients care, your job is to fool everyone. So do you have a practice of gratitude?
Absolutely. And what I've learned is I've made a small ritual for myself every morning, because when I start my day, the first thing I want to do is share gratitude to people in my life. Every morning I start my day sending a text or an email, and it makes me feel good. It just puts a smile on my face. And to be totally honest with all of you, is I do it more for myself than the other person. Just to feel that these people are on my side, it starts great. And after that, just to extend, the second thing to me is health today. I look at what all I'll do today, plan my meals, beverages, everything else. Then life tomorrow. What all I need to do on the business side tomorrow, look at my calendars for the next 2 weeks. And then I get into life today. Life today is easy. All of us are absolutely awesome in what we do. But what I felt was that urge to hold that back and take care of, start with gratitude, then health today, and then life tomorrow, and then get to life today really helps me.
There's one question from Partha Chatterjee I'll take, which says, listening to your talk on spirituality here, do you think Unquit is easier when there is a greater calling, something where you make a difference for the greater good?
Could you repeat the question again? Partha
Yeah,
always
sure.
asks that question.
Listening to your talk on spirituality here, do you think Unquit is easier when there is a greater calling, something where you make a difference for the greater good?
Yeah. So let's make the question and make
Yeah.
it simpler. Okay. I asked my grandma one time, why did you name me Arjun? Okay. I thought Arjun in Sanskrit means Ekam Advityam, something really cool. And she told me when she held me for the first time, she did not see me as a very smart child. Okay. Oh, dagger. Okay. But then she told me I had very curious eyes. And she said this would be a kid who would ask questions. Okay. So if you go back, and that's the reason she named me Arjun, because think, just before the battle at Kurukshetra, Arjun was the only guy who paused everything. How tough it is to pause everything. Like everybody must be perplexed. What are these guys doing? When Arjun says, take the chariot in between both, and he asks the questions. Because Arjun asked the question, that's the reason there is Bhagavad Gita. So I really think, Partha, the whole thing is, yes, spirituality helps. But on the other side, I really feel, to me, it was, to be honest, not that deep. I really felt I have to get to tomorrow. I'll give you a very simple example. Marathon. Just before the marathon, I realized that a marathon to me means 65,500 steps. I saw namumkin, impossible. But then I said, if I keep a simple goal, I'll take one step and I'll quit in the next step if I have to. That's very easy. Think. Sanjay, you came over to our house. Partha, you came over. You have eaten a full meal. My wife Chitra has made this payasam. Unless you're allergic to anything, you can always have one spoonful. So I know, Partha, you are very spiritual, but to me, it was very tactical that when faced with adversity, no big goals, just take one step and then take one more, and somehow a marathon gets completed in that journey.
That's awesome.
Okay, so here's another question from Parul Agarwal. She asks, how did you always push yourself through the journey of surgeries? As people generally have a tendency to go back to square one, especially when your surroundings are also pretty negative.
I try to find humor. And I'll give you a very simple story. One time, my anesthesiologist, and this is the last person I usually talk to before a surgery. And it's a very serious thing to me because I know the odds. With every surgery, the odds go down. So I know in my mind that this could be the last conversation Arjun could ever have. So I want to make the conversation count. Like I asked my anesthesiologist simple things by saying, hey, can you spell anesthesiology? It's a very difficult word to spell. When you go out on a date, do you tell people that I knock people out? And then one day, and this happened with Shujit, was on a WhatsApp call with me to support me before a surgery. Anesthesiologist walked in and his name is Muhammad Ali. And I told Shujit that you wouldn't believe this. Like this happens. So I told this guy, I said, do you realize today it takes a Muhammad Ali to knock Arjun out? He didn't laugh. Then I realized, what planet do you live? You're 30, 35 years old. Nobody has told this to you. So he said, okay, Arjun, you're funny. I said, no. When I give you this gift, life is transactional. You have to give me something back. He said, what? I said, I have a bucket list where instead of going to the surgery in a bed where you guys turn something on and I forget, I want to walk like a WWF wrestler with 2 nurses. He said, done. Only thing we could do was the 2 male nurses we had, but they also put their hands together. So that way it looked like, and the poor guy who had the worst view was somebody holding the camera for Shujit, who could only see me from the back. And you can imagine with the crack of the jacket opening what he was seeing. But that's the part where you cannot take life that seriously. I know everybody is in a serious mode, but I still have a tiny window open to entertain myself. So I'm sorry, trivializing this. It's a very serious moment. But I want to laugh. I really want to be funny. As my daughter says that my dad is the world's only sit-down comedian with a guaranteed one laugh. And the laughter is he laughs at his jokes every time. That's what our daughter does to you.
There's a question from Anonymous. How do you take care of your body, mind, and soul today?
I just follow a routine. Like if you ask me what I ate yesterday, I would tell you very easily because I eat the same thing every day. That's one of the things I have realized is initially based on corporate world and everything, I didn't take care of myself. Life doesn't work that way. I used to take a lot of pride in IIT days and after that I could perform with 2 to 3 hours of sleep. It takes a toll. So right now it's the routine that is very, very important because I realized my doctors will take care of me. My Sherpas will take care of me. I just need to be the best subordinate in that team and do my share and not make their job more difficult.
Yeah, I think
Very nice answer.
you want to take the next question from Saswati. There's another one. And then I'll take one more and we'll stop there. So you go ahead with Sonali. Yeah.
Okay. So what is your so Shashwati's question is, what is your next goal moving forward and how do you choose that among all the priorities?
Saraswati, initially I was counting my days. Okay? And doctors told me less than 100 days and I got close to 100. The 100th day was somewhat after Christmas. I woke up I was expecting that day confetti will fall from the sky. Nothing happened. It was just another day. 10,000 days was last year, February 5th. And immediately I locked 20,000 day, which is 2051. And then I realized this is getting too stressful. So right now, the goal is very, very simple. One day at a time, enjoy every moment. Like today, I'm fortunate, blessed that each one of you on a Sunday to take time around the world to wake up and be here. Am I lucky or am I lucky? Answer is yes to both. And that's the part where that's where I am is, yes, there's professional goals and everything else, but be present, enjoy every conversation and make it count. And the power that we have in other people's lives, it doesn't always have to be others helping me. Like, what can I do for you? If I get an opportunity, I want to do that, because that is where the path forward of life happens.
One last question from Viti Bandra, then we'll go to presentations. So this is from Viti Bandra. What are your 3 key goals for 2025, 2026?
Right now, I'm trying to reestablish my consulting business because it took 3-4 years of branding. I'm trying to get into speaking. But the big thing, what I realized is Unquit. Unquit to me is something bigger than what I ever thought we can get in. And what I realized is Unquit is a mindset for each person. And that's the big thing I'm right now committed to, is each person can get to Unquit on their own terms in their own life. And I have a very simple goal to get Unquit into your vocabulary, in your life, but most importantly, your self-description. And when one of you call me and says, Arjun, I'm an unquitter, and tell me the story with your fist pump and everything else, I want to have the best seat in the house to see the feeling that you feel. That is, I really think, the most amazing wealth I can accumulate in the life ahead.
Thanks, Arjun. I think Amitabh will do the final thanks and presentation. Thanks, Arjun, for coming and sharing your thoughts and answering all the questions on behalf of PanIIT USA Book Club, and hope to have you again for speaking engagements in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Arjunji. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Arjun, what a fascinating, inspiring presentation. Thank you so much for it. And all of you who attended, without your presence, none of these events would be worthwhile. I want to start off by thanking Rakesh Sen, who's an assistant professor at Arizona State and who is Arjun's main inspiration. Lovely. I saw her profile. What a wonderful, wonderful career she'll have. Amit and Swati, Sanjay, Sonali, thank you for putting all of this together, and for PanIIT for allowing us to host these events. A beautiful plaque is on your way to your house, Arjun. You've done so much for PanIIT in the past years, and this plaque is, this is just a paper copy. The real one is in your mailbox by day after tomorrow. Would like to thank all the participants here, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks, Amitabhji. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful session. I had a really good time.
Thanks, Sonali, for joining me.